Hey guys, time for my final thoughts for today, January 7th, 2020, and I am feeling sick as a dog right now, and I just want to go ahead and power through this. So the video down below is from Vincent Elephants, and he's talking about the prospect of going to war with Iran and talking about how all the neocons are all for it, and they absolutely are. And Tucker Carlson, who was admittedly a MSNBC, CNN bow tie wearing neoconservative, he's come out and he's spoken out against it. I think guys like Tucker and Vincent Elephants, for sure, they're aware of the Project for a New American Century, and it would help explain a lot of the decisions that have been made on the foreign policy front, looking at Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya. Any other countries I'm forgetting right now, Lebanon, the list goes on. Pakistan, of course. But you have to understand, here's the deal with Trump. I think that by him ordering the airstrike and killing some highly ranked Iranian officials, he has sent a message. He has said, look, we are not to be messed with. And you remember his tweet that came out right before it was either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, where he talked about, this isn't a warning, this is a threat. That was in response to the attack that had happened on the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. And there's a lot more going on here. What Trump is trying to do, as far as the embassy goes and the base there, he's trying to get Iraq to pay for it because he knows that they have the money in order to pay us for it, because we have spent literally trillions of dollars over there. He feels that we can get some of that back. If you remember during the debates, Chris Wallace was moderating, he said, like, this country's in $19 trillion in debt and they need somebody like me to straighten it out. I think this is his way of getting it straightened out. He's going to try and get some money from these foreign countries that have not paid for our services to be there, because the reality is, if we were to leave Iraq, Iran would march on in and take over a very large oil supply. It's a very slippery slope. I understand that, if we're going to stay in Iraq for any longer, we're going to continue to spend money. But what Trump is trying to do here is get some money back. And I think that one thing that will help us in that situation is the fact that we're exporting oil for the first time in a long time, not only exporting oil, but exporting coal and mining coal. I think that will help us be a little bit more less dependent on foreign sources of oil. I really hope so, because, we really don't need to be in the Middle East. And I completely agree here with Vincent Elephants. Talking about the southern border and what's going on there down at, the southern border, sorry. You see that there are large numbers of illegal aliens coming up through. Now, this is somewhere where our U.S. military is needed the most because of the number of people that are coming through and the type of people that are coming through. You've got the cartels sneaking their way into the United States and killing people, American citizens, mind you, on American soil. We've seen several examples of this in California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. It happens every day, and in fact, the media doesn't want to report on it because it doesn't really fit their narrative. Their whole narrative is orange man bad and white man bad. If they were to suddenly report on this, their orange man bad narrative would go out the window, because orange man is talking about the dangers of mass migration, and the white man bad narrative would go out the window because you see a lot of the victims of these crimes are white people, which is actually the majority of this country. Anyways, I really pray that we don't go to war with Iran. I think that this is pretty much the apex of our involvement over there in terms of military action, Trump ordering the airstrike of these people. I might be wrong, though. He might order more airstrikes. I just hope and pray that, we can do everything we can to lessen our involvement overseas, bring our boys home, and put them on the southern border. In fact, I would not be opposed to the idea of a draft going into effect to get people eligible men and women to go into the armed forces to protect not only our southern border, but also our northern border. What's happening in Canada is a dire warning to us. We have to notice that too, because we will, believe me, we will have to build a wall on the U.S.-Canadian border. It's going to happen because of all the people that they're letting in. And it's not going to happen as soon as what's going on the southern border, because that has been happening for over the last 60 years. But Canada over the next 100 years is going to change very drastically in terms of demographics. So, anyways, I'm just praying that we don't go to war. I support President Trump and everything that he does. But let me just say this in closing, because I want to say this. Like, I know this is kind of a little off topic, but a lot of people that I know supported Obama because of his personality. They're like, oh, he was so cool, so smooth spoken or whatever. Yet you look at his policies, like with the Affordable Care Act. I mean, that was the thing that did it for me, was the fact that I was being charged for not having health insurance. Like, that was like the only thing that he did that affected me. And then I started to dig into what he was doing. He was basically amplifying the Patriot Act, because he's a buddy of Bush and Clinton. Let's not kid ourselves here. They're a little, trifecta there. He was also somebody that was in favor of increasing troop levels overseas. He was also in favor of, being a very divisive figure, taking the side of criminals rather than our own police. So a lot of people were willing to look past that because of his personality. The same might be true for Trump here. If Trump is going to increase troop levels over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, like he did back in August of 2017, he said, I'm going to send 7,000 more troops over there to Afghanistan. A lot of people in Trump's base, including myself, are probably going to be willing to forgive him for that because he's Trump. And we're just saying, like, well, better than the alternative. I mean, who's the alternative? Joe Biden, Pocahontas, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, who I don't even know why is still in the race. He's probably going to be the next to drop out. Tom Steyer, Mr. Walnut Sauce himself, little Mike Bloomberg, all these people. It's like the same thing would happen if any of these people would be in office, if not worse. So I support Trump no matter what. Like I said, if he does something that affects me directly, like if he were to put like if the White House were to follow through with their 25-cent gas tax or something like that, which I don't think is going to happen, then hey, I might consider it. And even that, I don't drive a car, so like I said, as long as his policies don't affect me personally, as long as he continues to have good rhetoric in terms of being a leader of our country, if only a ceremonial figure, then I'm fine with that. So anyways, some things to think about. I'm going to go rest because I am feeling sick as a dog, guys. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.